For most of the winter, as I would drive home from work, I would spot a northern harrier hunting the field by my house. They are easy to spot from a long ways away because of the distinctive white patch at the base of the tail. I see the harrier most often on windy days. Finally, one day we decided to grab the camera and come back and photograph this guy. They are the most owl-like of the hawks, meaning they have a disc-shaped face that allows them to hunt by hearing in addition to sight. Some individuals choose not to migrate, and with little snow cover, I think more have stuck around the last couple years. They are widespread. I often watch one hunting while I'm deer hunting in northern Minnesota, and last week I spotted one hunting at Lake Apopka in Florida. They hover low over grassy fields, with males generally flying lower than females. This one was probably a male because he was always very low. When a small mammal is detected, he can pounce quickly or attempt to fly super low and drive it out into the open where he can grab it. Because it was spring break, the day after watching the harrier hunting in the snow, we headed to Florida for a week. Florida has many great birding spots, and as you will see in this video and the next, we visited a lot of them. I identified some species that I knew I would have to see in Florida. First on my list was the Florida scrub jay. They are the only bird species that lives exclusively in Florida. We were staying in Rockledge near Cocoa Beach, and there just happened to be a scrub jay sanctuary in that town. The Helen and Allen Cruikshank Sanctuary is a great spot to see these birds. Despite being on the federal endangered species list, they were quite easy to find. They do not migrate, and they will not leave the scrub oak habitat. Scrub jays work cooperatively. When offspring leave the nest, they stick around and help parents raise the next brood. Individual members take turns watching for hawks. When one is spotted, they will give an alarm call and everyone will take cover. We witnessed this call. The population is so fragmented that the 3 different populations in different areas of Florida have different vocalizations. While we were watching the scrub jays, we met some people who had been to Orlando wetlands the day before. This was one stop we wanted to make but didn't think we would have time for. However, when they described all the baby spoonbills, we decided to squeeze it in. In winter, when you spot a hawk in southern Minnesota, or really the entire Midwest, it's probably a red-tailed hawk. In Florida, it's most likely a red-shouldered hawk. The Orlando Wetlands is a 1,700-acre man-made wetland near Christmas, Florida, with an impressive boardwalk for checking out wading birds, waterfowl, and alligators. You can distinguish the little blue heron from the tricolored heron by the third color, which is the white underparts. The tricolored heron is an active hunter, not relying on frozen stealth like egrets, little blue herons, and great blue herons. We witnessed one following a pied-billed grebe, supposedly looking for fish it was stirring up. Another bird I put on my must-see in Florida list was the limpkin. Its bill is designed for foraging on apple snails. It has a gap at the tip that makes it act like tweezers. The tip is also curved slightly to the right, so it can be slipped into the right-handed curve of the snail shell. When we watched it forage, it would periodically slam its bill into the mud with great force. It also makes this haunting cry, mostly at night. While we were watching the limpkin, we heard another haunting call that made the whole boardwalk rumble. It was the alligator mating call. There are 1.3 million alligators in Florida, and I think we saw most of them. Courtship usually begins in April, so I think these were just warm-up mating calls. Male gators in Florida range from 10 to 15 feet long and can weigh up to 1,000 pounds. Continuing down the boardwalk, we spotted the nests of roseate spoonbills with their chicks. When the chicks are born, they do not have a spoonbill shape, but at just 9 days old, the bill starts to flatten, and by day 16, it starts to look spoon-like. I think that's about how old these chicks were. The bill will be full-size by 39 days. The babies have pink skin with white down. It takes 6 weeks for them to grow their flight feathers, and they will also have fully feathered heads. By age 3, they will have their adult plumage with no feathers on their head. In Florida, they nest in red and black mangrove trees, usually by the wood storks, and they can lay up to 5 eggs. The parents have to feed the chicks by dribbling regurgitated material into the chick's upturned bill. One nest had 3 large chicks and 1 small one. You could tell the babies were competing for their turn to eat. The pink color supposedly comes from the crustaceans they eat. While glossy ibis appear dark from a distance, their iridescent feathers actually give off maroon, emerald, bronze, and violet colors. Right now they are in their breeding plumage. They might fool you into thinking they are a white-faced ibis with the white ring around their eye, but white-faced ibis have red faces and red eyes, and they are usually not in Florida. They are more of a western bird. This guy had to preen himself, but during courtship they will participate in allopreening, where the males and females preen each other. In other weird bird stuff, the freaky large wood storks regurgitate water on their chicks to help keep them cool. The palm warblers winter in Florida. This is the eastern variety, which is more yellow. They will head to Canada in about a month. At the same time, the more drab-colored western variety will pass through Minnesota, both making their way to the land of no palm trees. Alligators do eat a significant amount of fish. They also eat a lot of coots. That's probably why these coots were always running around so nervously. During this trip to Florida, we've seen an innumerable amount of coots. Orlando Wetlands also has an impressive amount of green herons. The coots were also always accompanied by common gallinule. The more exciting purple gallinule is more purple and less common. Purple gallinules, like this one, have a more southern range. They are often found alone. They prefer walking around with their long yellow legs on wetlands with floating vegetation. The purple gallinule has a blue dot on its forehead. Another species that I assumed was a myth before taking this trip that looks quite similar is the gray-headed swamp hen. They have a slightly more gray head with a bright red forehead and no blue dot. More about them in the next video. Some belted kingfishers stick around Minnesota year-round. Others make their way down to southern Florida. This female was practicing catching fish, because when their eggs hatch in June or July, they will need to catch 100 small fish a day to feed them. A great egret in breeding plumage is fairly spectacular. Egrets grow long, delicate feathers that the French called aigrettes as part of their mating display. These feathers are what they are named after. They were so highly sought after for the plumes in ladies' hats that thousands were killed in the late 19th and early 20th century. The feathers sold for $32 an ounce, twice the price of gold at that time. The Massachusetts Audubon Society was the first to take action to protect the great egret from the feather trade, and to this day, the great egret is the symbol representing the National Audubon Society. The egrets were nesting in trees by the spoonbills. It was hard to make out the nestlings, which looked like cute, fluffy cotton balls. But don't be fooled by their cuteness. They compete aggressively for food, often stabbing the smaller chicks to death in the practice known as siblicide. That turned dark quickly, so I will conclude our time at Orlando Wetlands with some beautiful footage of spoonbills, as well as Florida's most prevalent birds, the vultures. After leaving Orlando Wetlands, we beelined it for Merritt Island to look for American flamingos off the coast of the island. There was a decent flock being closely monitored, almost too far out to sea. They were probably blown in from the Caribbean by one of the last year's hurricanes. Sightings are up in Florida in recent years, with estimates of up to 100 wild American flamingos around the state. Of course, that doesn't count the tame ones we seen at Animal Kingdom Lodge the day before. Later that night, we arrived in Cape Coral, our base for the next week. At a high school baseball field, we encountered several of the tiny, only 9-inch tall, burrowing owls. We had seen them last year in the Badlands, but the Florida variety is considered threatened due to habitat loss. They seem to have burrowing owls on every block in almost every grassy lot in Cape Coral, so we'll call it a comeback. The same baseball field had a community of monk parakeets nesting in one of its center field lights. These plump green birds are native to South America, but since they were released in the United States in the 1960s, they can be found in a few U.S. cities. They are the only parrots to nest in communities and build stick nests. While burrowing owls form large colonies, in urban areas it's more common to find them in pairs. Mating pairs will often preen each other during courtship. Keep an eye out for Florida Birding Part 2 to see more cool bird behavior and more cool bird species, maybe even a painted bunting.